What's up, YouTube? This is the Passive Income Trucker coming back here today with another opportunity. And today we're going to be going through a video that I found on YouTube where it talks about the power of daily compound interest. And on this video, it's a 3% compound interest every single day on top of whatever profits you may have, which, as you can see right here, turns into a snowball effect. And the title of the video that I'm going to be going through is the power of 3% daily compounding, which you put in $3,500, and at the end of 2 years you can have $699 million, which sounds absolutely insane. But just follow the video. We're going to go through these numbers so you can see exactly what can happen, what will happen, and you can make a decision. It's a system that I've already got myself in because I'm willing to take a little bit of a risk. If you're not, then this is just not for you. You can go ahead and watch something else, but this is for people who kind of want to take a little bit of a risk. I'll let you know what I think is a high risk, a low risk, or extremely high risk. Let's get into this video. What was that?
Alright, let's take a look at some compounding examples with some hypothetical, made up, fake, theoretical numbers.
Oh, I also forgot. Let me read these disclosure right here. Results can vary in anything online, including stocks, bonds, anything that you may decide that you want to get into, crypto, any business you decide you want to get into. There is a risk, but in this, the results may vary. The results shown here are for hypothetical examples only, and it's not going to show you what's going to happen for you. It's a potential, because no one can actually predict whether or not this company's going to be around next month, next week, next year. So you are taking a chance. Only put money into these programs, these systems, that if the company disappears tomorrow, that you are fine with losing that amount of money, that you won't lose any sleep over. Don't put your kids' savings in there. Don't put your retirement in here. Only put in the money that you are willing to lose, that you will risk. And this is going to be a very extreme example of what you can get out of it. But there's also a small risk that everything could disappear on tomorrow. Let's get back to this video.
It's pretty crazy when you start looking at compounding. The purpose of this video is just to allow someone to begin to wrap their wits around the power of compounding. This is going to be presented from the hypothetical viewpoint of how to turn $3,500 into almost $700 million in 2 years. $699,084,200.
Now, when you think about that, turning $3,500 into $700 million in 2 years, that sounds ridiculous. That sounds like a lie. It sounds like a scam. It's like, what are you talking about? That's unreal. And everybody says that. Most people do. But when you understand the power of compound interest, it is possible. But it also has other things that have to happen, that have to be in play, that have to work in your favor for that to happen.
In 2 years, exactly 2 years, starting with $3,500 without any recurring monthly costs or business overhead of any kind. And I just want to point out that pay attention to the disclosure below, because results can vary in real life and business. Anything I'm showing here is just hypothetical example, made up numbers based on.
Yeah, it's just his disclaimer. Already kind of went through mine. See if I can skip a little bit past this. And also, if you hear a loud noise, it's just me in my truck, because I still am the passive income trucker in my truck right now. So let's just fast forward this just a little bit.
Find it interesting. So if you happen to have a vehicle that was producing 3% daily profits, then this would be very interesting. Now these examples are going to assume that 3% daily profit, historical statistics of 3% daily.
And also, guys, I don't know any other, I know I'm stopping this a lot, I don't know any other investment, any other business, any other opportunity, any other site, any other bot that's going to produce 3% every single day. There's a lot of opportunities, even in the stock market and crypto, where you may make at the most 1% per month. You may make even in your bank account, you don't make that much. You may make 2 to 3%, if that much, per year. And this is every single day. That's why the numbers that you see, he talks about 700 million, so astronomical that it's kind of mind-blowing.
Daily profit maintains at 3% for 2 years, every day for 2 years. What can actually happen in the future with whatever vehicle you may be using, which may be producing 3% daily profit, Nobody knows because nobody has a crystal ball. But we're going to look at here how to turn $3,500 into $699 million in 2 years. Now, if we start over here, we're starting with an amount that's $34.65. How did I arrive at the amount $34.65? Well, I arbitrarily decided on $3,500, and then in this example, we were using a vehicle, a trading vehicle that has been producing 3% per day. Again, that's no guarantee of future performance. Past statistics, past performance doesn't indicate future performance necessarily, but this vehicle has been producing 3% per day, and it's been doing it for some time. So,
and this is just the average. Some people are getting 3%, some people are getting 6%, but it also, in this particular program / system, it's also a recruiting aspect. It's not mandatory. You don't have to do anything. But an example he's showing is with no recruiting whatsoever, with no trying to show anyone about the system whatsoever. This is just you putting in his example, what he put in, which is close to $3,500. But you don't have to put in that amount. You can put in as little as $10, but it's not going to compound as much with $10 what it was as $3,500, even at $100. And he's just pretty much showing his the amount of money that he put in. It's not mandatory that you put in $3,500. It's not mandatory you put in $1,000. You can start with as little as $10 to maybe $10 to $15 to just start. And there is no fee. Just let you know, there's no fee to join this particular program at all. You just put your money in, and the way they earn their money out of this particular program is they get a percent of your profits. They get a certain percentage of it. So that's the reason why this program is free. And I'll be kind of filling you in as we go through this video on other things about this particular program that you just put your money in, and it's really easy, to be honest, which is the easiest thing I've ever been in. Back to the video.
one might then be curious about what would happen if it continues to do that long into the future. That might end tomorrow. That might end in a year. It might end in 10 years. Nobody knows. These are just fake, made-up projections. Okay? With that, I arbitrarily decided on $3,500 just to fund that particular vehicle, and $35 came out in fees when I purchased Tether with USD.
Right. So the Tether, in case you didn't know, is cryptocurrency. And Tether is just it's pretty consistent. It doesn't go up or down. It goes a lot of down because, if I'm not mistaken, it's funded by like the US dollar. It's pretty much the crypto for the United States, which is it's more even than most. So Tether is just one of the cryptos on a lot of the different sites. If you're not into crypto is a place where you can make money, but you're not going to make the percentages he's talking about just getting into crypto. The way this system works is it kind of goes out. If you know what retail arbitrage is, it's kind of like years ago I used to watch a video of a guy on YouTube who said he used to go to the local thrift stores and buy polos at each of the local thrift stores 10 to 15 miles away from his home, and he would buy those polos at a certain amount and go to eBay and Amazon and other sites and resell them for a higher amount. That's pretty much exactly what this system is going to do. It's going to search the internet for the best possible scenario for the amount of money that you have in there, and it's going to present you with opportunity to make money off of that arbitrage. It's going to buy it low and resell it to someone high. And that's pretty much what the system does for you.
So within the crypto wallet, to turn my dollars into Tether, by the time I paid the fees, it was $34.65. Now, 3% per day. So this column here, all this column is, if you know how these spreadsheets work, you look at the formula, you'll realize that each cell down is just 3% higher than the previous cell. Real simple. So if we start with $34.65, or $3,500 minus fees, and we go down 1 year to line 365 here, we see that $3,465 turns into $163,099,748.
And this number is compounded because all you're doing is you're letting the money sit there. You're not taking anything out. You're not adding anything. What you can also do is you can add, even though he put in $3,500, he could also add $20 a month. He can add $100 a month every month. But if you just let the money stay in the account and it constantly earns 3% per day, This is the number you can get in actually in a year of compound interest, just 3% a day plus the profit you made for that day, and you keep reinvesting and reinvesting and reinvesting for 365 days, and that's how he got that number, which is kind of crazy. It's really insane when you come to think about it. But if you take like $500 and just let it sit in your bank account, you're not going to get this. You probably have $500.20 by the time next year comes around. But this is the absolute power, which is kind of blows my mind. I never thought about compound interest like this. Probably like a month or a year. I never thought about it on a daily basis. And this is the absolute insanity of what could happen. This is not insured. It's not guaranteed that it's going to happen, but this is a possibility.
79 cents. That's 3% per day compounded with no withdrawals from that particular account in our fictional hypothetical future. And you say, my God, how can that be? It's only 3%. Yeah, it's 3% per day. This is why I believe Einstein said compounding interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Mm-hmm. This isn't interest, it's profit, but the same principle applies. If we go out 2 years, we've got day 730, which is 2 years, and that turns into an amount which is beyond the capacity for most human beings to think with.
Now this number does seem unrealistic. It's like I don't even know what that 7 trillion, quadrillion, I don't even know what to call that number right there, but that's more than likely not going to be an amount that's going to be in your account. So this is kind of going way to the extreme. I mean, it's possible, but if that money was in your account, where would you withdraw it? How would you get it out? Can it even pay that amount to you? You know, that's the kind of question you have to ask yourself when the numbers start to get that big. So I wouldn't plan on having this amount of money in one account. But he's just explaining to you the power of compound interest and just showing you how fast the money can multiply each and every day when you don't take it out. And that's kind of what happens in some of these businesses where they don't have a huge expense, which is kind of almost impossible because businesses have to take out money. They can't just let the money sit there forever. So they have to take some money out at some point in time. So this is kind of a very, very big number.
Which is 7,920,520,191,834. You say, my God, how can that even be possible? Well, it's just the math. This in and of itself is not even an opinion. This is just the math. At 3% compounded per day, 730 times, or 729 times, that's what it turns into. The problem I think that most people have, and maybe the reason why the private reserve banks and so forth and the private banking families are filthy, filthy rich and worth literally trillions of dollars, I suspect is because they understand compounding and the average Joe doesn't.
Right.
Because what would the average Joe do? The average Joe, if we go back to this line, the average Joe, if they were to put $3,500 into something, they'd get maybe 2 months in and they'd go, OMG, I made almost $20,000. Let me take out $10,000.
Right.
And that would knock this balance down.
No patience.
And by doing that a few times, this number way down at the bottom here at the end that used to be trillions now turns into almost nothing because they keep taking money out and not letting it compound. Again, not financial advice, not investment advice. It's just math. If you take out, let's go back here. Let's go back to, I don't know, let's say you've been withdrawing and withdrawing and withdrawing. Every time you hit 20 grand, you take 10 grand out. And you go, yay, I'm making 10 grand every, well, how often is it? Every 27 days or whatever it is.
Every month.
Where's the 10,000? So
about
37 days.
Yeah, about once a month.
So let's say at day 60. So every 2 months you take out 10 grand. You go, awesome, I'm making an extra 5 grand a month. Well, the problem is you get all the way down here and you still only have 10 grand in your account. Okay? So if I change this to 10,000, then your last day of your second year, you still only have 20,000 in your account.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something to be said for letting the compounding happen in a situation like that. And this is the sort of thing, it gets so exciting you can't sleep if you really begin to understand it. And you can manage to even find a vehicle that's producing 15-20% a month. That's enough to keep you awake at night. But that's not, so it's the difference between trillions of dollars and tens of thousands in the end. So if we fix this and we go, well, let's stop taking all our money out all the time, every time we need it. Basically, if you were doing that every other month for 2 years, it'd be 12 withdrawals of $10,000. It'd be 120 grand you took out. And in order to get the 120,000, you literally cost yourself $7,907,520,000,000 plus dollars.
If you ask yourself, who wouldn't be mad if they had $20 million? That's like winning the lottery. That's like winning the Powerball right now. If you had $20 million, this is a little bit excessive. This is a lot. He's just, like as he said, it's just showing you what the numbers say. But this is kind of, this is kind of out there. This is kind of up there. That's a huge number. Very few people have trillions of dollars. So that's a very huge number. You probably would break the crypto bank if you tried to withdraw that amount out. Because I don't know if that much is in there. But he's just showing you what possibly could happen with the system that we're using. Just doing it that one particular way, where you put in the 3,500 and you take nothing out, you can end up with $7 trillion, and that's how he says the banking system is pretty much doing it. That's how they're worth trillions of dollars.
This is crazy, right?
Yep.
Now, you can't take out nothing. If you're in a situation like this and you have to survive, and this is how you make a living, is by doing trading or arbitrage, so that your profits are feeding your family. Well, you have to take out something, right? Or if you're looking to transition from a job to this sort of scenario, you have to take out something. You can't just go with no income for 2 years, or maybe you could if you have a job, if you're willing to do it. But all I want you to get is the power of compounding. It is unfreaking believable. Now again, this is fake, hypothetical, fictional numbers made up to illustrate a point. Don't anyone come to me and say, well, you said I was going to make. No, I didn't. I didn't say you're going to make anything. As a matter of fact, I said there's no guarantee or implication that you'll make anything.
Right.
Because whatever vehicle you choose, if it's now yielding 3% per day, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But let's just assume for the sake of this video that it's going to continue for at least 2 years. Now what I've done is I set up a thing here in this spreadsheet, which some of you are going to ask me, how did you set the spreadsheet up like that? And it's just,
and he's just using that as an example. There is a guy who I've heard. I haven't talked to this guy. I haven't seen the guy, but I've heard other people say they've talked to a guy who's been in this particular system for 3 years, and he has a couple million in his account. So the system has been up at least since 2019. As of right now, it's 2022. I'm making this video in March. So there's at least one guy that I know that's been in the system for a couple years, and he's over a couple $1 million in. So this is, and right now we have. I'll talk about it later. Let's just back to the video.
it's too complicated to explain. But over here, this actually, we don't even need this column is pointless to pay attention to. As a matter of fact, let me just make these numbers white so it's not even an issue. Over here are dates. These are dates starting with, so the deposit date would have been March 15th. Day 1, 24 hours later, would have been March 16th in this example. And in this example, I've noted for me, the vehicle that I'm using that is generating 3% per day, and that's just me personally. I'm not saying it's going to do that for you, although I don't know why it would be any different. 3% here, and this is actual. So you could see.
And also, with the 3% is going to depend on you. It's going to depend on how much you do the work that's required to get to the 3%. Some people get 6% because they actually recruit people and bring them in. But 3% is something that you can attain, but you can also get 2% depending on how much work you put in, because this is something you have to do manually, but it's also, if I'm talking about it kind of close to the end, it's something that is also can be automated, which is already set up to be automated. All you have to do is do a certain thing that I'll talk about. You have to stay to the end of the video to find out what that is if you are interested. But there's a way you can do this manually and still, I would say, make, this is just me throwing a number out there, 2%. And even if you were to do 2%, you still could get to in 300 and, well, the 2 years, over a couple $1 million, which I'm pretty sure is more than that. And that's just me guessing off the top of my head. And that's at 2% daily compound interest, which makes a difference as well. You probably can make the same thing at 1%, but in this example, he's using 3% because he's already used the system and he's already seen other people who's making 3%, 3.6, 3.7, 4%, 6%, 7%. So there's different numbers already out there from people already using the system. He's just using 3% as the middle number of which you can make, but you can also make less than 3%. Back to the video.
That my personal results are actually exceeding 3%, but that's neither here nor there because that's just my personal results. What we want to pay attention to is the balance.
Mm-hmm.
And the balance here, compounding 3% per day, takes into account any withdrawals that we make. Now what happens when somebody tries to figure all this out, they go, well, how much can I take out? And like I just gave you over here in this example, most people when they get to something like this, they would say,
take out $5,000.
I'm going to take out $5,000. I'll leave half in there. And they'll do that over and over, and they'll just destroy their future results. And one of the things that happens is if someone is used to kind of being broke all the time and they can't really have money, you know, like it's a mental or spiritual thing, you know.
It's also kind of like discipline. If you get to this, if you were to put money into this and the system lasted for a year and you saw the numbers that you just saw a minute ago where you can have a lot of money in that account, would you be taking the money out because you're not disciplined enough to say, okay, I want to hold off for the long term and I'm just going to take out, like this example he's used, he's taking out $800 a week in these 3 weeks. But he's still, the money, as you can see, is not losing a lot, as if you would take out half and then you kind of reset from up here, which is above this, which you can't see. All you're doing is resetting it to here and starting all over, coming back down this way. But if you take out a little bit here, a little bit here, and this is like a once a week where he's taking out $800. He's going to show the rest in a second. But he's showing you a way that he figured out on his own on how you can take out incremental amounts weekly and still not lose a lot of the compound interest that is there. Which, I mean, most people aren't going to be disciplined enough. Once they start seeing the big numbers, they probably were like, oh, okay, this is $20,000. Let me go ahead and take all this out before it falls apart. And in this example, he put in 3,500. 1, 2, 3. If the system would last long enough, by the time he gets to 1, 2, 3, 4, by the time he gets to week 4, he's pretty much got his money back. By the time week 4, after he starts taking out these profits, after week 4 and probably into week 5 is when he would get his money back, plus a little bit more. But I'll let him go ahead and finish talking about it.
Are you able to have? You're able to have money. Some people just can't. So it makes it very hard for some people to think in terms of futures like this. Because
yeah, I know I'm stopping the video a lot. I know. But yeah, if you think about the people who win and have won the lottery, go back to this video showing people who won the lottery. And once they won it, some of them wish they hadn't won the lottery. Because one, they end up, there was some stories online. I mean, it's absolutely insane. They had folks kidnapping them, people killing them, and there were things that happened. They actually had ended up with a worse life because they won the lottery, because they got the money so fast they didn't know how to handle it, and they either blew the money and were broke again, or was one guy, he won the lottery and he was on drugs, so he said he was spending like $5,000 per day on drugs, which is crazy, and he still lived through it. But he said now that he's broke again, he's kind of glad that he's broke because he doesn't have to deal with all the foolishness that came with it. So this is something else you have to think about. Like, you have to be disciplined. You have to have a straight mind in order to be, have a good heart to do these kind of things, to have this type of money. I mean, what are you gonna do when you get it? Will you stay in long enough for it to get there? Do you want to risk putting in money that you possibly could lose. That's why you're telling you to put in an amount that you're willing to lose if the company disappears on tomorrow.
Because when you get up where you've got a hypothetical, fictional, compounded amount that gets up to, 50,000 in your account up in this area, it's very tempting to just take out 25 grand and go have a big party and go take a vacation and, spend it.
Mm-hmm.
Very enticing. But if you did go and talk to a financial advisor and you were talking to him about just a reasonable investment plan for retirement, and you were going to put in, I don't know, let's say you've been putting in $700 or $800 a month for 15 years. It's been coming out from your paycheck, and then you want to take a bunch of it out now when you're only 45 years old. Your investment advisor is going to pull his freaking hair out because he knows how much future yield or returns or profit that's going to destroy. So look in this example. On day 37, so in this example, nothing gets withdrawn for 37 days. Why 37 days? It's just an arbitrary selection point, and at 37 days, the balance becomes 10,000. When you take the 800 out, now it's down to 92.42. So on day 37, compounding, it would be 10,242.54 here.
Mm-hmm.
And we take out 800 and we're left with 92.42. So the plan, and I've run this all different sorts of ways in this hypothetical fictional example, the plan to take this 3,500 and turn it into 699 million is just math. So first thing you got to do is you got to let the compounding at 3% per day run until you hit 10K in assets in the account. Then what you do is you take out 800 a week for 8 weeks, and then you take out 1,000 a week for 8 weeks, and then you take out 2,000 a week for 8 weeks, then 5,000.
Now, if you look at this plan is absolutely brilliant. He pretty much said you just take out for 8 weeks at a time, 8 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, just 8 weeks and 4 weeks, and you let the money pretty much keep compounding, but you're not taking out so much to where it's going to absolutely obliterate the total at the end. And if you look at it, for 8 weeks after you get to 10K, you take $800 a week for 8 straight weeks. And after that, you take out 8 weeks, $1,000 a week. Then the next one is 2,000, 5,000, and then I think this one is this 2,000. Then this is one. Make sure it's not 50. It's 5,000. This one looks like 40,000. But he's going to explain these numbers in a minute. But I can't see all of them. This may be 20,000. But the numbers are going to increase. But as they increase, the money doesn't just absolutely get dissipated. It doesn't get destroyed because you've taken out money like it would if you just wait till it gets 10,000. You take out 5,000. So just watch the rest of this. He's going to explain, and you'll see how much money is left in the account in the balance. And it's crazy.
A week for 8 weeks. So that's 32 weeks. How many weeks in a year? 26. So you are 13 and a half months in by that point. You're only taking 5,000 a week out. But let's look at the balances. In this hypothetical, fictional, made-up example that in no way is intended to predict your future reality, we get into, well, here we're 58 days in, let's say 2 months in, we have 15 grand in the...
And as you notice, the numbers are still getting bigger while he's taking out money. Because he's not taking out half of the money, he's not taking out 1,000, he's taking out a certain amount to make sure you're still taking out money, but you're not killing all of your profits. You're still getting, even you're taking out the 10,000, it was 11,000, you took it out 10,000. A couple of days later, it's right back to 11,000. Now you're at 12,000. Take out 8,000, 12, 13. So the numbers are still increasing with the compound interest. But this is you're not taking money out until it gets to a certain point, and then you take out this amount and you let it keep compounding. Then you come back and you take out, compound until it gets down. And this is it's kind of, it makes you not want to, if you see this and you see the real possibilities of what could happen in 365 days. The video that I'm watching, he said he loses sleep over this sometimes. I think he said he didn't sleep for the first couple of days when he saw this system because he could not believe it.
Account, we're only taking out $800 that week. man, that might be hard for some people to restrain themselves on. It's almost like having a big ice cream sundae in front of you, and it's got nuts and chocolate and whipped cream all over it, and there's a spoon right there, and it's right in front of your face, but you can't eat it. And as we move forward, being very conservative on withdrawals. Why? Because we want the compounding to continue to increase as we move forward, and we get to 90 days or 93 days, and our balance gets up over 33,000. We're still only taking out $1,000 a week. That might be hard discipline to enforce upon yourself, unless you understand the concept of compounding, which I'm trying to convey in this video. So what was our formula? 800. This is weekly withdrawals, okay? You take out 800 a week for 8 weeks, 1,000 a week for 8 weeks, 2,000 a week for 8 weeks, 5,000 a week for 8 weeks. Now let's look at the 5,000s over here in the yellow column. 1,000, 2,000, and we get into 5 weeks of 8,000.
Now think about it. If this system holds, if this was to hold true, if it were to last long enough in his example, even if you don't put in 3,500, let's say you put in a different amount. Let's say you put in 500. Let's say you put in 600. Let's say you put in 1,500, 500. And you wait till the same thing would apply when it gets to 20,000. You just wait. I think it was 10,000 or 20,000. When you let it get to that number that he set, the same numbers would apply. It may take a little bit longer because it took you longer to get to the 10,000. Would you think you would be able to live off of $5,000 a week, even with the fees of transferring? Let's take an extreme example, and let's say you end up with 50% of the money by the time it gets to your bank account. By the time you get to the transaction fees from this account back to that account, back to your bank account. Let's say you end up with $2,500 a week. Do you think you can live off of $2,500 per week after it gets to that point? I think that's something that would be able to help you in your current situation right now. If this system were to do everything that it looks like that it could potentially do, it's not guaranteed that it would do it, but this is just potential. We're looking at the potential of what this site can do for you if you decide that this is something that you want to try, if you want to give a shot at it, if you want to take a stab at it, just see if this would work for you, if it's worth the risk. At 5,000, and actually, by the time you get to this amount of money, the money that you already got from the $1,000 a week, and I think it was the 2,000 maybe, or even 1,000, that's you have $4,000. By that time, you should probably be already paying your bills decent enough. Because most people get into these programs, they're not millionaires or billionaires already. Most people get into these programs, they're trying to make money. They're trying to pull themselves out of a hole. They're trying to it's most like living like a day-to-day thing, which is not good, but everybody's looking for a way to improve. And this is a system that could potentially help you to improve. But there is also a risk.
8 weeks of 5,000. Look at the balance here on the first one. 700.
Well, I forgot it was 8 weeks. By the time you, in the next 2 months, that's 5, 10, 50, that's $40,000 in the next 2 months. In 2 months.
$174,000. I tell you, if you want an exercise in self-discipline, it would be being in a position where you have almost $800,000 sitting in an account, but you're only going to take pay for that week of $5,000. Why are we limiting it so much? Because again, when you start taking out higher amounts, you affect your future profits so much that it will literally make you cry and have a nervous breakdown later when you realize it, assuming that whatever vehicle you're using that's producing 3% per day, if you can find one, manages to maintain for at least 2 years. If it doesn't maintain, right? If you get up to this point, 200, let's say you get up to this point, you're 67 days in, you got 17 grand in here, and you don't take out the 17 grand, and something happens, whoever controls that vehicle that's yielding that percentage gets killed in a plane crash, or the company blows up, or there's World War III, or they decide to go criminal and do a rug pull and leave with all your money. Well, then it wouldn't matter much, would it? And that's,
And as he said, all those things could potentially still happen because there's companies that do these systems and they all look good, they start good, and they end up disappearing. So that is still a possibility, even in this company that we're taking some of our money and put it into. He's just giving you the real possibilities of what could happen. And it also could remain around 3 years. We don't know. We don't know if it disappears tomorrow, if it disappears next month. And as he said, something could happen to the owner of the company. They could do a rug pull and disappear. So this is just trying to give you all of the possibilities, the good ones and the bad ones, because there's bad possibility here.
situation, you'd say, geez, I should have taken the 17 grand out and, you know, bought a car. You can buy a car for that now. Bought a used car. Then I'd have been better off. But none of us have a crystal ball, do we? And I would say, if you don't think something's going to be around for at least 2 years, maybe don't put any money in it. Or if you want to be super conservative and risk, because what's the risk? If you think about it, everybody worries about the risk of losing what they're putting in.
Right.
But they're not thinking about how much they're losing by not leaving it in. So is the risk of losing, in this scenario, is the risk of losing $3,500 scarier, or is the risk of losing $699 million scarier? Because if such a thing as a 3% daily profit compounding were able to be maintained for 2 years, it would turn $3,500 into $699 million.
See, that's the thing that keeps me that keeps me excited, that keeps me thinking, that keeps me wanting to put money into the account, but at the same time, I'm not going to put in more than I can risk to put in. I can't put in $3,500 like he did. I can only put in $500 and risk $500, so that's my risk tolerance level. But I may also put in money every single month, depending on what I have at the time. So I may start at $500 and I might put in $100 every single month, which he's not doing. He's just going to do it one time, which is you start out at a better position. But still, I'm only going to put in what I can afford to risk. I'm not going to put in my whole savings account. I'm not going to take my cryptos and my stocks and just cash them out and send them here. I'm just going to do a risk tolerance level that's for me, and that's what I'm going to start with.
But if one is scared and they're not willing to risk the $3,500, and it could be $5,000, could be $10,000, whatever that person wants to risk, could be $20. It's going to turn into something. It's going to compound. When you change that initial start number, it's going to change the outcomes here. But is the risk of losing that $3,500 really that much more scary than the loss of the $699 million that occurs because someone is so itchy that they pull everything out the moment they double their money? Now, one really conservative way to do it, if you're really poor and you just have to absolutely struggle, the $3,500 is every dime you had to put into that deal, whatever that deal was, and oh my God, it's a problem, my wife is going to freaking kill me. Because once you double it, just take out your initial, once you get to here, take out your initial $3,500.
And that's another strategy. You can replenish your money, you can break even. But what I would also tell you to keep in mind is when you take it out, there is going to be a fee. So if you want the same amount of money, you may want to wait until it's a little bit further down that line. Maybe wait till it's around 8,000 and then take out about 4,000, because there's going to be fees involved. There's going to be a transaction fee from one account to another account, and then from that account to maybe a bank account, depending on what service or which way you decide to transfer the money from that crypto wallet back to your bank account. So there's going to be a fee either way it goes. So also keep that in mind.
But if you understood how much money that was going to cost you in the future, here, let's look at it. Let's go over here. Let's go here to when we hit 7,000. How many years out do we want to go? Let's just go 1 year out to day 365. Again, I'm not telling you what to do with your money. This is not advice. I'm just running hypothetical numbers. You're going to do whatever you want to do and whatever deal you're in. But you can see straight up 3% daily compounding turns into $163 million. Let's make this field purple so we can find it when we come back easier. Now let's go back. We had a $3,500 start, and when we got to 7,000, we said, oh, I'm going to be safe, and I'm going to take out my 3,500.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll leave this at 35.43.64. Now, one withdrawal. Now let's go back to our day 365. And we have cost ourselves, what was it, 131 million?
A lot of money.
We've cost ourselves 18 and 30, that's 49 million dollars. I may be misrecalling it. $49 million. Let's go back and fix this. It's 82, right? I got it. My short-term memory is shot, so I got to. Here, let's just paste it up here so we can see the difference. That didn't work. 82. We'll call it 82 million. All right. Now let's fix this. Now let's go back down. 82 million compared to 163 million. Okay, so half. So in other words, by taking out the $3,500 on day, whatever day it was, 38, 30 something, we cost ourselves almost $82 million.
Almost double.
Isn't that interesting? So we basically spent $82 million to get 3,500. So sometimes I see people actually giving advice on this, which I don't know why they are, because they're not qualified. They obviously haven't done the math. Right? The only reason you would take out more than is absolutely essential in a situation like this would be if you think there's reason to believe that the whole deal is just going to disappear. And maybe it will. You don't know. I don't know either. But in terms of math, it's a hell of a risk. If the whole thing falls apart, you get $3,500 that you risked and it's gone.
And that's pretty much what most people do when they invest in these types of systems that are volatile. They'll put in their money, whatever amount they put in, and when they get it back, they pretty much just take their money back so they at least break even. That's what people would do normally, but this system is a bit different, and that you get 3% every single day instead of 3% a week, or 3% every 2 weeks, or 3% per month. This system pretty much allows you to make it a lot faster. You make that money back a lot faster than you would in any other system.
Doesn't fall apart and you take your $3,500 out, you just wasted $81 million. That's for 1 year. 2 years is just ridiculous. This is just the math, guys. So look how these things roll out. If we take out just 800 for 8 weeks and then 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 for 8 weeks, at that point it starts to get interesting because the compounding has gone so far that things begin to get really exciting. So after the 5,000, so let's go down to our 5,000s. The 8th week of 5,000, we got $3.2 million in assets, and we've taken out only 5,000 that week. And you go, woe is me, I'm so poor, I'm only...
But if you take a look at his example here, the numbers just jump out. The numbers jump out, they jump up, they go very, very high, very, very quickly in that amount of time. Like if it's taking out 5,000 a week, you got $2 million in the account. It's kind of like a drop in the bucket, but you still see how much is, you took it out, and you're in the next week you win 3 million. The next week you're still close to 4. And right now he's taking out 5,000. Then all of a sudden he starts to take out 400,000 in this particular example. This is when he starts to ramp it up a little more. So every 8 weeks he changes the number. And this one is 5. I mean, it doesn't have to be 4 million. You can take out 1. In these examples, he's using the amount that's showing like a pretty good amount that you can take out and you can live off. You can live off of this for the rest of the year, just taking out one of these right here. And this is at day 261. Not even a full year yet. You already can get a withdrawal for $400,000. That's ridiculous.
Making $20,000 a month. and I've got 3 million in there that I can't touch. But the very next week on day 261, you start taking out 400,000 per week. Now, if you take this money and this and this and all the withdrawals and you add them all up and you divide them by the number of withdrawals so that they're evenly spaced out all the way back to here, you can't even do it because there's not enough money here to do it and the amount never grows. So you have to do a little bit and then wait, and do a little bit and then wait, and do a little bit and then wait. So I tried to do this in a way where someone were looking at this and they're like, well, I need weekly income. Okay, well, can you wait just like a little over a month? Can you wait like 5 weeks? 6.5 weeks? Because if you can, or can you just wait until your balance hits 10 grand? Forget about where you're starting. If you're starting with 1,000 or 5.
And that's also why it's important for you to put enough money that you're able to lose, so you don't have to be so impatient, so you don't have to be so jumpy or so ready to take it all out because you put in too much that you could not afford to lose, and now you have to take it all out because you need to pay the rent or the car or the lights, you need water, you need food. That's why it's been explained to you multiple times to just put in the amount that you're willing to lose. That way you're not so impatient, and once you are able to build up that patience so where the numbers won't bother you, and you can look at those numbers and say, okay, I'll just take out, like he's saying, 800 in this week, and when you get down here it's 500,000. From 5,000 a week to 400,000 a week, then by the time you get to this point, you more than likely will be able to leave wherever it is that you are. And this is money that you can live off of for, if you're frivolous or if you don't need a lot, you can live off of $100,000 per year and take this and live for 4 years just from this one withdrawal. And it's 4 withdrawals for that time period that he set up. So he changed from 8 weeks to 4 weeks. Now it's 400,000 per week. And by the time the end of that 4 weeks, that's $1.6 million. You can live off of that for 10 years if you live off just for $100,000 per year. And these numbers get pretty big. They get pretty insane. But that's going to be the last part of this video. The system that we're using, it's a system that I guess I have to show you in another video, or maybe I can see if I can log in now and just show you what the system is. If you stay to the end of the video, thank you for staying. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because I'm going to be making more videos like this. I'm already involved. I already have money in the system. I put it in today, and I'm just going to show you what the system looks like and what it does. Let me see if I can log in here. And the name of the site is COTPS. It's crypto's, over-the-counter trading platform. Pretty much a trading platform where the system pretty much presents you with opportunities to trade. Kind of like the retail arbitrage that I was describing. Now see right now, this is just a little system update. The system was updated recently, so this is a different interface that it used to look like before. Right now, what I have right now is this is like $4.25 in the account. You go to the transaction hall, and it shows that in the transaction, this is how much that's locked up in my transaction for right now. And the thing about this system that everybody is saying is so much better than the other system is once this money transfers back to the wallet balance, you can withdraw that money at that time. You don't have to wait for a week. You don't have to wait 2 weeks. You don't have to wait till the first of the month. As soon as, which is pretty much like every 2 hours, because once you complete the transactions, the money transactions, they go from here to here. Right now, these end the transaction, which means they're in process. And once this is complete and you can't do any more transactions, the money stays there for about 2 hours and then it transfers back here with the profit. So if I press this right now, the balance is lower than $5. So you at least have to have more than $5 to complete one transaction. And right now it's just, I think I have like another, let me see, I have like another 20 minutes and I'll have my 2 hours over with and I can go ahead and do it again. And all you do is it's very simple. And also it shows you the total with this plus this. Right now I have about $800 in total assets in the system right now. So all you do is you would come here, you would press immediate competition for orders. All it scans the system, the internet, and it finds the best option for you to arbitrage, and then it comes back with you just press yes or OK, whichever button shows up, And these are the ones that I've done so far. As you can see, I've already done a couple. I can keep pressing more. Now, it may not look like a lot, but I'll also show you that this is, over time, this adds up. Now, where's the first day? The 26. These are all the 26. Trying to find that first day. My browser will not go to full screen. If I press it, it just doesn't go to full screen, so it'll stay like that. If you can't see it, I do apologize. Let's see. Because right now what it shows the amount of the transaction, it shows the profit. This is 6 cents, this is 16 cents, this is 40 cents, this is 72 cents. This is $1. This is more, your first transaction is always going to be the biggest one. And what it does is this is how much I profit off. It may not seem like a lot to have $1, but at the end of the day, let's see, this is all from the same day, 320. These are all the transactions from 326, but this is like multiple cycles. After every 2 hours, you can do this. This is probably the first 2 hours. As you can see, it was 130, 48, 21. As you can see, this is probably the first cycle I did today. As you can see, they get bigger. 503, 170, 48, 34, 344, 222, 135. So these are just the different cycles that they have done. And once you get up to $1 per day, it's pretty much when it gets a little bit exciting when you get to that, because you do a lot of these transactions per day. And this is why I was saying in the video that you can go from 3% to less, because you have to come in and manually do it yourself. But if you decide that you would like to join, then we have a script on our team that does all of the work for you. It had to be redone because of this new interface that I was talking about at the beginning. The bot couldn't figure out where the button was to complete everything, so the script had to be redone. And there was a script that we have for joining our particular team that will automate everything for you. You don't even have to press the button. The bot script does everything for you. That's pretty much almost it. I'm pretty sure there's other things that I'm forgetting right now, but right now I just can't think of them. But pretty much there's a bot that pretty much automates everything. So the only thing you would have to do is log in every day to make sure that the bot is working, and to just make sure that it's performing the way you want it to. And that's pretty much it. You log in once a day or twice a day. If not, you have to log in every maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes to do this manually, which you can still do. But if a bot does it, a bot would do it 24 hours. There's no way for you to be up 24 hours. You have to be up for a certain amount of time and then stop and wait till the next morning. But if it's something that sounds like you're interested in, I'll leave my links down below. If not, that's fine. It's just not for you. It's no problem. Thank you for watching this video. This is the Passive Income Trucker sharing what I have for you today. I'm out.